Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of The Boys, Herogasm. And I thought this was okay. There were a lot of things that I liked in this episode, but it was almost a lot of it being independent from a lot of the shit going on. This is really kind of hammering in on the same kind of weaknesses that I saw in season 2, where there's a lot of other kind of sub things that are in there and taking screen time and real estate time, and it's just kind of like diluting the main kind of plot. And also, Herogasm was just a. I mean, granted, there are superpowers going on, but it was just like an orgy, and I'm just like, alright, granted, I haven't been to an orgy, and it just looked kind of. Almost kind of boring, even with the superpowers. I'm just like, okay, if you're not actively into anything, it's just walking around naked waiting to get into something. It's just like, alright, is there any kind of other kind of system with this shit? So it also was kind of different than the comics, because it was just like the soups were doing it for their own kind of entertainment. And the thing is, in the comic books, it was like sponsored by Vought and was almost like a pressure relief thing for certain kind of soups. Now, granted, I haven't read it, but I've read about it from like wikis and like looking it up, and I'm just like, it changes the dynamics of what Herogasm kind of is. So let's kind of get into it. They just really like to lampoon certain kind of things and just like make fun of certain shit. So we start off with the Deep doing pretty much the thing of like the whole Imagine thing with like all the celebrities doing all that. So I'm like, okay, cool, cringy, got it. We understood that the first time around. Now we've got the boys' version of it. Interesting for the cameos. Then we shift into the actual kind of stuff that is interesting. We see Homelander, Deep, Noir, and Ashley looking at what's going on there in the crime analytics department, looking into what was going on with Soldier Boy and Crimson Countess. And it's funny because the Deep pretty much throws Ashley under the bus, being like, hey, for firing all the people. But this is an important scene because we see Homelander shitting his pants, truly understanding what fucking stupidity he has done to take over a company. Because here's the thing, man. You have just been the talent, as Edgar has been talking about, that you're a bad product because you think you should be the one in charge of running a company, even though you've never done that before. You're barely even a superhero in my understanding of that, because you haven't even really trained. You just use your powers because you've always been the strongest. That's usually the interesting kind of thing that puts Superman apart. Homelander has all this power and just uses whatever he can to stop a situation. Superman and Clark Kent know how to modulate their power. They have trained to understand what their upper limits can be depending upon what kind of adversary they're up against. Homelander has just been like, we even see this towards the end of this episode. He does not have that kind of training. And so it's like, alright, he doesn't have the business training. He should just mainly be doing stuff with superheroing. But now he's like, oh god, I'm fucked. Ashley tried to play it off as like cosplay, but he's like, no, they need to know why you killed Crimson Countess. He's like, Soldier Boy, Hero Heroes was Vought. If that was out, the company's fucked, I'm fucked. And just seeing how self-centered he is about thinking that, why are they doing this to me? I'm like, you fucking arrogant asshole. You don't even know what Soldier Boy's trying to attempt to do here. You don't even know if he has any, like, validation and justification for what he's attempting to do. And granted, I think murdering people, no. Alright? No, I've moved to that view of like, yeah, granted, if you need to, like, kill somebody in self-defense, you gotta really justify that shit. This dude is just doing it for vengeance and everything like that, and he doesn't really care who he hurts. So that's where it's kind of doing it. Homelander is just like, oh, it's all about me, they're doing this to me. I'm like, oh my god, shut your whiny ass up. Like, honestly. But that's the thing. He is a giant man-child. That is what he is. Granted, I understand the symbolism with the breast milk and shit like that, but he's a man-child. He only thinks of himself and doesn't know how to even interact with other people. He knows how to put on the facade and shit because he masked up to pretty much get through to that, as we see throughout the episode. But, oh god, he's such an idiot. He's like, alright, handle this. I'm gonna find him and kill him, bury it. If Deep fucks up, it's Ashley's head. I'm just like, alright, fuck you, man. So the Homelander goes to talk to Noir. He's like, hey, listen, asks why SB would, Soldier Boy would have killed her. Glad to have him. He's the only one he can count on. And then Noir, like Homelander goes off. Noir then turns around, goes into an elevator. There's a lady in there. He digs out his tracker chip, gives it to her, and then he walks off. That's the end we get of Black Noir. It's like, all right, yeah, he's coming for everybody on Payback, so let's kind of see what goes on with that. That's it. It's like, all right, whatever. Let's see. Then we see Butcher, Huey, and Soldier Boy. They went out to get the food. They pretty much make a stupid little joke. Hey, where's this kind of sauce? Kind of similar to like the Szechuan sauce. I'm like, yeah, it's been gone. Got him his drugs and shit. Talks about how they were wired during D-Day. Then pretty much tries to, again, talk about the whole deal that they've already fucking come to. Alright, we'll help you with getting payback on payback. You just add one more name to the list. Homelander. Let's see. Huey also tried to fuck with the shield. He's like, hey, don't fuck with that thing. So this was kind of redundant. It's like, alright, whatever. Then we get to Kimiko pretty much texting Frenchie, and this was a useless fucking thing because we go through this episode, and I understand needing pacing and shifting to certain gears or whatnot, but it's just like, this adds nothing. Kimiko's trying to text him. We see her eating this popsicle. She gets pretty much jacked by Little Nina's stuff, dude, and then it's like, alright, cool. It's just for such a small amount of time and for really things that we've already been like talking about, so it's just redundantly hammering in certain points. And that starts to be happening a lot. Even though there's things from like different kind of certain perspectives, we get all this kind of stuff in other kind of avenues. So it's like, I understand making sure that a point comes across, but when you just keep doing it, it's like, alright, you're spinning wheels. We only have 8 episodes. So we see Starlight and MM. MM's pretty much gearing up. Starlight's like, why do you have the guns and shit? He's like, yeah, these aren't for Soldier Boy. And he's like pretty much ready to like take on Huey and Butcher. And he pretty much knows where Soldier Boy would be going next, that the TNT twins, they're in Vermont. And of course, she's trying to get him to calm down. He's like, why the fuck do I have to take the high road? And I'm like, I gotta get that, but and I get that they betrayed you. That's bullshit. Alright? However, does your vengeance have to take it now? Like, the whole thing is that I've just come to the conclusion of this. Everybody wants vengeance and nobody wants justice. I'm like, alright, fine. You're all assholes except for Annie. And I'm not saying that to be flippant or anything, or to just be like, girl power. She is the only character that has any kind of moral center and tries to do the right thing, even if she doesn't always hit that all the time. We see that MM is just like, I need to get vengeance on Soldier Boy. And I'm like, I get that. And we get a little bit of justification on this. But I'm like, okay, you take his ass out. What about Homelander? Because we have seen that he has potentially the ability to fart out something that would take away someone's powers, or at least fucking kill this dude's ass. Homelander is the bigger threat because he can fly, he can shoot lasers, and he's got pretty much invulnerability and shit. It's not that they're trying to take your vengeance away from you. It's just your vengeance would probably be lower on the priority list, and after they deal with the big flying fucking cock asshole who's like, I'm gonna do whatever I fucking want to do, because I'm a god and you're all mud people. He actually uses that line, that fucking asshole. It's just, they try and make it too single-track-minded and single-minded for MM on this. And I'm like, he usually thinks things through better than this. And he's like, I'm already ready to do vengeance upon Huey and Butcher for betraying me. And I'm like, they really haven't. Butcher is going as far as he needs to take out Homelander and is still going to go after every soup. He has said this regardless. So it's not like he's going to just leave Soldier Boy to his own devices with his, like, Bennies and Jack Daniels and shit. He would probably go after him too after he had his use of taking out Homelander. Like, it's basic kind of level thinking on this, but I understand that he's thinking emotionally, and of course with his OCD, as we learn later on. Starlight pretty much tries to bring up that Huey wasn't in his right mind, but he's like, he's a grown-ass man, he makes his own choices. that Starlight and MM are the only ones, so they gotta stick together. It's up to us. She gets a call that she's got to make an appearance. Then we get to the A Train bit, which at least has the kind of cool ability of him being called out. Because we see the trailer for A Train's show. A Train's like, what are you going to do about Blue Hawk? It's like he felt threatened. By what? You know what I mean? Like, he was the suit dude in that situation. How did he feel threatened? Like, could he not handle the situation? And he brings up a very valid point. It's like, I thought we got rid of, like, the Nazis and shit like that. And then that she spills the whole corporate stuff. And I'm like, you're a company founded by Nazis doing Nazi shit and all this. And it's like, you say all that, but you don't deal with the people that do the Nazi shit. Like Stormfront and Blue Hawk, you know? Ugh. And then she's like, listen, we have to stick together because of the whole soldier boy kind of thing and keeping up appearances. And he calls rightly that that's bullshit and says he'll ping the chip and go after him himself. And she's just like, that A Train wants justice. And Ashley, like, rips out her hair and then hits him on his hypocrisy of, like, okay, I'm delegated 100 hours of my career to cover your BS, 3 straight up murders with your crew, pot claw, no shit's given, now you care because it has affected you. And that is a good hit on him. And then tells him to go fuck himself. He kind of nods and leaves because we do actually see him kind of coming to terms with that. But, however, he is only called about it on this. And then he's called about it by Huey. And then he does what he does. And pretty much we'll have to see if he lives. So we see Deep to Homelander, says Noir's gone. Homelander's like, why would he do this to me? Why would he take all this shit? Me. I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up, you asshole. And says that they know where the TNT twins are in Vermont. And his wife kind of backs him up with that. Knows that they'd be going after Noir and everything. He okays for them to go, thanks him, tells him to go. And if Soldier Boy shows up to call him. And then there's a little spat between the Deep and his wife. I'm like, Jesus, this joke of a character needs to be done. Then we see an interesting kind of bit of... We essentially get a Gollum kind of situation with Homelander here, where he's talking to this mirror, and we learn kind of more of his kind of, like, insecurities and issues. I am interested in what they're going to be doing with it, but I don't know how well they're going to execute on it, because we essentially see that Homelander is kind of split between his God complex persona and his kind of human propensity for wanting love, and he keeps calling himself out on that. He's like, when we were in the bad room, I got us through it. It's like, okay, so that one that like chips away at kind of like everything to being like, I'm a god, will get away and take out all of your emotions, because every time you try and get that love, whether it's Madeline, Maeve, Stormfront, your own son, same brick wall, we gotta cut that human part out of you because it's a cancer, so that way you can be pure, clean like marble. It's like, alright, we'll kind of see how this goes. His complexes are just going completely out of whack. He's going even nuttier. He's evidently had a kind of split personality thing, a dissociative identity disorder kind of thing going on. So we'll see kind of how that works out. We see a Soldier Boy movie with the TNT twins then, and complaining about them and how they couldn't get their marks and shit work professional. Huey is watching this Geiger counter thing going on, and we see that it kind of is tied to his emotions as he gets more pissed off. He's talking about how, like, dads walk like that, why'd you wear that pussy gear? And Bill Cosby was a real man. It's like, strong drinks. It's like, he was like, holy shit. It's like, alright. Granted, I don't mind him hitting on Bill Cosby. It's just, what does it fucking accomplish? You know? Like, if you're just doing it, like the Imagine video, to make fun of something that, like, people have already made fun of, it's more dating the reference and the show than it is making a funny kind of quip thing. It's like, alright. Then he's asking about, like, what happened in Afghanistan and everything like that. When he left, the good guys were 10-1. He's getting more pissed off a little bit. And that he got what he got for his fighting was forgotten and left to rot. And that he actually did want kids with Crimson Countess, but he's saying that he wanted boys so he could make them into men. And he got nothing. Then Huey tries to get into his head about what happened in Midtown. He's like, I don't know what happened. But then he's like, He blacked out. 10 minutes came to, damage done, and he did not mean to hurt those people. And Jensen really sells that because you can tell that Soldier Boy didn't want to hurt those people. However, we see that he still has a callous nature towards other families when he's doing his superhero shit. So when it wasn't something that was like really in his control, he was like remorseful on that. And he says he's not a bad guy, but it's like, all right. And then he's like, it won't happen again, right? It's like, not if they, only if they have it coming. And then, of course, we see that Butcher comes in, bleeding. He's like, yeah, it's not my blood. TNT twins are in Vermont. And then we see them both shoot up and how it is affecting them, how they get off on it. It's like, yep, you turn it into what you hate. It's that whole thing of, like, be careful fighting monsters lest you become one. Stare too long into the abyss stares into you. If you don't have that line, like MM talks about, even though he's kind of hypocritical on that, because he's like, I need to take out Soldier Boy. It's like, alright. But then that line screws you over on Homelander. We switch over and we see that Deep goes to the TNT house. It's not a good sibling relationship. They're assholes. And we see that it's the Herogasm thing. And, yep, I already brought that up. We shift over and we see Homelander, Starlight, and Newman pretty much on VNN. They're asking about the whole supervillain situation. Homelander says it's under control and gets pissy with the host, talking to Newman about what other kind of stuff they're doing, and he just storms out and acts like a dillweed. Newman then talks to Starlight because we need to have her to do something. Like, I don't mind her trying to play two different sides, but she's already kind of given up the power control against Homelander. I understand trying to work against behind his back to try and take him out, but it's like, this was just really kind of weird. She brings up that she knows that Starlight and Huey know that she's the head popper. She proposes an alliance. You use your social media influence to help me get my shit. I'll protect you from Homelander, make you more of a co-captain. It's like, how the fuck would you do that? Homelander took over the company. You got no shit to fucking deal with, lady. Jeez. And then but see, that's the thing. The objective of this scene, even though it doesn't work quite as well as intended, is to get Annie to be like, I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of people pretty much telling her she needs to be shitty in order to win. And I really feel with her on that, because you get into a lot of positions where people are like, this is how it's always been done, this is how it's always played. You always have to take the low and dirty road to get to anywhere, because otherwise you're going to get fucked over. It's like, I really feel with her on that. She's the one that I'm like really connecting with on this, because she's pretty much the superhero that none of these superheroes are. She's trying to do right and trying to help people, and that's all she really cares about. And we've got this fucking man baby screaming about stupid shit that everybody's okay, even though there's a dude that's gone up and starts blowing shit up, even if he doesn't try to. And it's just, he's murdering people, he's raping people, he's fucking not giving a shit, and just, I really feel her on it. She tells her, fuck you, fuck everyone else, you got your steaming pile of shit you built, and Newman's like, but you'll probably be dead. She's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. And I'm like, not work with the nut job. It just felt like they're not sure what to do with Newman. Like, they kind of did her arc thing with Homelander and just like, we still got this actress here, we still got this character, we gotta, like, use her in any kind of ways. It's like, whatever. And then, of course, she wants to keep between us. Not possible to take her out. And then we see Starlight with her nosebleed. Then we go to the Kimiko bit. We see Nina pretty much gloat and talk about how Frenchie likes pain and shit and punishment. And Frenchie was going to choose who to kill, Kimiko or Sherry. And then the thing is, Kimiko is able to use her popsicle stick to get out of her handcuffs and kill all the people. However, she gets, like, really fucked up, and I'm just like, are we sure her powers are gone? Because she's getting, like, thunder punched and, like, rebar and shit, and, like, she's taking it like a fucking champ. Like, granted, I understand you're probably flooded with adrenaline and shit like that, and she'd probably crash and probably be like, I want to bleed the fuck out. It's just like, alright. Then we also get a bit where she like tells that she's the monster. It wasn't V, uh, but it was just weird she could take all that damage. Now the thing is that pops up a little bit later, I believe, but I'm getting to it now, so I'll just skip it later. So MM and Starlight are pretty much driving. She asks about the tics that he's got, and we get the whole explanation that he looked up to Soldier Boy as a kid, and that him and his family lived in Harlem, and that it was like a multi-generational family. He goes, he sees Soldier Boy out there, and he's like, "Hey, Grandpa, Soldier Boy, Soldier Boy," and then he like comes to the window, and at that point, Soldier Boy tosses like a car or whatnot, and it kills his grandpa, and that's kind of the beginning. He like does all these like OCD things because he's like, if I don't do this, Soldier Boy will come and kill my family. I'm like, okay, I get that. We really needed that information now, and the thing is like now, like even before, because I understand it's kind of after the fact to try and explain his single-mindedness. However, he's never really been this way before. I understand that we haven't really had his vendetta vengeance kind of shit like this before, but he's not thinking, and like he's been thinking before. It's weird. I don't mind it. I understand that it's an emotional thing. It's part of his OCD thing. But he's not even thinking about how to truly take out Soldier Boy. It's just essentially a death thing. Now, granted, if he said a little part of him is like, even though I don't know how to kill him, if he kills me, it's at least done. I can sleep or whatnot. That would be powerful. And then I could be like, I get that single-mindedness then. You know what I mean? You either win or you die, and it's done either way. I would get that. But we don't have that. It seems like he's still just into, and the only thing is like, I'm going to try and take him out. And not thinking about anything after that. I'm like, alright. Talks about how he's still that kind of kid. So, they get up to the TNT house. They're greeted by the long dick dude, Love Sausage. And he's like, keep that shit away from me. It's like, I gotcha. And then, of course, they go in and we see the suit powers and everything going on. We see the Ant-Man dude getting gunk on MM's jacket. He goes to find a restroom and gets super jizzed on like a fucking jizz cannon. That's about really the extent. He's like, I need a bathroom. Yeah? And you're gonna need therapy on that one. Like, you'll come back from that. You, they don't even show how it fucking, like, got, like, you could have that kind of explosive jizz. Just, poof, cum shot, like, bam. And it's just like, yep. So he disappears for a little bit to pretty much clean up. They also said, like, him and Butcher say that Frenchie are going to be sad that he missed Herogasm, because we go back, we see Butcher being like, oh, it's Herogasm. And Soldier Boy's like, yeah, I started that shit. That's my thing. I founded it in 52. And I'm like, I don't fucking care. I get it. I like that they're trying to build stuff and lore on it, but I'm like, alright. The New Liberty, of course, at Stormfront. Nobody tells them that she's a Nazi. Huey's like, there's a lot in there. He says, stay out of the way, they'll be fine. He's like, give me 3 minutes. I'll tell you where to find the twins. He agrees. Starlight's trying to tell Blue Hawk for some fucked up reason. I mean, she's trying to get the people out of there. I understand that. But I'm like, Blue Hawk's a fucking idiot. He's like, oh, do your own research and shit like that. It's like, primary source research is that she saw the fucker blow a dude up and actually saw his fucking ass. Like, he just parrots out these dumb fucking talking points, and I'm just like, you're a stupid, dumb fucker. And he's like, I'm gonna go find a salad to toss him in. Alright. Like, I don't mind Starlight trying to, like, get the people out of there because we don't know what Soldier Boy is going to be doing. However, we do see that he kind of pretty much sticks to that until he can no longer kind of control this shit. And then we just get another fucking joke thing with the Deep where Starlight finds him fucking an octopus. Or is the octopus sucking him off? I don't know how I would term it. The octopus is on his dick. And doing shit. And I'm like, Aquaman fucks fish. It's like, we've kind of had that kind of shit before. We've kind of had that alluded. So it's just another kind of redundant thing to me. I mean, it's a little bit funny as Starlight's like, "Oh shit," and then takes a picture like, "Yep." Not that I know that kind of works against her. Kind of like, I don't want to do fucked up shit, but it's almost like I'm seeing a man fucking octopus. So I doubt it's more blackmail and more just like I ain't never seen like you take your phone and it's like I ain't never seen that again. So boop, I'm like that's gonna get archived. And it's just like, alright. And then Huey pretty much pops in, gets a robe, bumps into A-Train, and hits him for never saying that he's sorry, but then he does say he's sorry, and you can tell he means it. And then Huey, of course, has the kind of decision to make. Does he accept this apology and see that A-Train, yes, has changed? Because he normally wouldn't do that before. But now that he's been affected, he gets it now. It sucks that it takes people to like get into that kind of situation, but Huey's like, no, I've got power now. I can do shit now. And it's like, wow, now you're gonna go that route. And then he punches him. A-Train's like, how the fuck did you do that? Because of how strong the punch was. And he kind of diffuses it, tells A-Train to get the fuck out because shit's getting weird. And then tries to get Huey back onto her side. She's disappointed in Huey, which I get it, yeah. He tries to pretty much, he's almost to her side, says he's just here for the twins, and she wants to get more people out to make sure everything's good and he doesn't kill any other people. But the thing is, Soldier Boy pops up and she hits him with, you don't get to decide who to serve up on a silver platter. I'm like, yep. Mm-hmm. Granted, Soldier Boy got fucked. However, that doesn't give him right to just go willy-nilly and start killing people. Alright? Especially, I bring up, it's especially because the explosion is not really centralized. It's not like he can, like, cone it to a certain part and just fucking aim that shit. It kind of, like, goes everywhere. I mean, well, it went everywhere in Midtown. It pretty much blew up that whole trailer with Crimson Countess. When I saw how this was going to go down, I thought this was going to pretty much take out the entire structure. However, it doesn't go that way. It goes more to what he did to Kimiko in Russia. So they're kind of inconsistent on that front. Now, granted, if they explain why it goes from like explosion to like beamish kind of shit, I'd be okay with that. However, we don't have that at the moment. I doubt they're going to do that. And of course, Homelander's going to be coming, and of course, when Soldier Boy shows up, it's like, ah, shit. So Starlight was going to try and stop him, but Huey teleports him out. I thought it was kind of interesting that it took both of their clothes, and then of course they start having their whole fight, and that he wants to save her, and she's like, I don't need you to do that. And the thing is, he keeps bringing up that he has to be the weak one, and see that it does bother him, and it's his hang up, and she's like, alright, I thought it was the drugs, but it's actually you. And it's like, yeah, some people they don't deal with being in those weak positions very well. It's the kind of inverse of Steve Rogers. The thing is, there are certain people that understand that value of that strength. However, sometimes people like Huey and Butcher twist it. They get that strength, and they're going to use it to the effective advantage that they can do to whatever aims and goals they have. And damn the consequences. Because he is so intent on trying to save Starlight that he's pretty much lost her already. You know? And it's the whole kind of Anakin, Skywalker, and Padme kind of thing. He was so intent on doing all this stuff to try and save her, and he becomes the one that ends up killing her. Let's see. MM gets cleaned up, and then Soldier Boy pops up, and he just fucking throws a halothane grenade at him. He's like, and of course it doesn't work. And then why'd he do that? Because you killed my family. And he goes, which one? And it's like, wow, fuck you, man. So he's getting ready to pretty much fight him with his fists. And then Butcher comes down and says that the twins are up there because they've been arguing because of a fucking toilet cam that the brothers had. It's like, alright, whatever. And Butcher stops him, pretty much saying that, like, MM's trying to call him a hypocrite. And it's like, no, you're trying to go and suicide yourself. and he pretty much starts smacking Butcher with like all different kinds of stuff around, and Butcher's just telling him to stop and not really fighting back on it. So, interestingly enough, Butcher's coming out more on top on that kind of situation. We see Soldier Boy and the twins. They're surprised. And then, of course, we see the stuff with MM hitting the twins, say there wasn't their fault. He's like, alright then, tell me this shit and I might let you go. It's Black Noir's idea. Soldier Boy's like, nah, he wouldn't fucking shit without what say so. But the thing is, he then starts hearing the Russian pop song because of Love Sausage there, and then, of course, sets him off, and he blasts the whole kind of place. Mainly taking out and killing the TNT twins, even though they tried to use their powers and it fucking failed. They get kind of blasted, and then he kind of like rotates out, but it's a blackout kind of effect. So Starlight and Huey start fighting a little bit. They see the whole explosion. Starlight's like, I gotta go. Huey's like, I'm not gonna let you. So she blasts his ass, and then he kind of like goes. We see the Deep running away with the octopus. We see Blue Hawk being scared. A-Train's like, hey, fuck you, man. Grabs him. He's like, oh, we gotta get out of here because of this. And he's like, fuck that shit. And then he goes the Vengeance route and runs with him and kills him by dragging him on the ground. Like, that's brutal. But see, the thing is, he wasn't going to let him get away with it. And it kind of sucks. I mean, I want justice done more than vengeance, but that was nasty how Blue Hawk got killed. And then we see that it's affecting A-Train's heart. And Huey's not around to kind of like save him like he did the last time. So it looks like A-Train's dead. But we'll see if that is the case. We see the Ant-Man dude screaming for help as he's small, but then he gets squished by Homelander's boot. Now, it's accidental. Well, I don't know if it's accidental, because Homelander would be able to hear his ass because of his hearing and shit, so he might have just fucking stepped on him and didn't care. So we see that MM and Butcher got out of it alive, MM were kind of knocked out, and then Soldier Boy shows up and asks what happened, and is like, okay. And then Homelander shows up, and he's like, oh, of course, you're behind it, Butcher. This goes against our deal, so deal's off, and then blasts it with his laser eyes. And Homelander brings up that, like, you were my hero, watched your movies, nearly as strong as me. He's like, I don't know about that, you wear a cape. A cheap fucking knockoff. And he's like, no, I'm the upgrade. And then we start seeing the fight. This is what I really fucking liked. This fight here. However, I think the ending is kind of bullshit, though. You know how I kind of talk about plot armor and shit? This definitely happened to Homelander here, because the only thing that I understand that you want to build up to a crescendo and a climax that works pretty well. However, here, they kind of needed to execute it kind of a little bit better to see that, like, okay, maybe Soldier Boy can only do a certain amount of explosions in a certain day or whatnot, and he needs to kind of recharge. You know what I mean? To where they couldn't use it. Because here, he should have been dead to fucking rights with what kind of goes on. And we see how Homelander really doesn't know how to fight because he's usually been the strongest, so he's never had to actually contend with someone actually fighting his ass. Seeing, like, it's interesting to essentially see a amped up, stronger kind of Captain America fight a fucking evil Superman. Now, granted, they're both evil asshole dickheads, but we see how it kind of works out. And Soldier Boy is able to kind of land better kind of hits, even though Homelander kind of overpowers him at certain instances. Soldier Boy and Butcher know how to fight. And Homelander doesn't really know how to do that. He just utilizes his overwhelming strength. Let me see. MM goes for guns. Starlight says, no, MM, I need your help. People are hurt. He doesn't control you, so they go up and they kind of like help the other people. We see that Homelander's trying to kill Soldier Boy. He's like, you almost had me there. And then Butcher's like, oi, and then laser eyes Homelander, and you just see the amount of, are you shitting me, what the fuck just happened for him? Not just that he got lasered, but also that he got hurt, and it was Butcher that did it, because from what I saw, even though it just did it did a hole in his outfit, it also damaged him, because Remember, this man thinks he's a god, and in this particular fight, he gets hurt. He has damage. He bleeds. If he bleeds, we can kill it. Kind of shit. You know what I mean? And it's just seeing him like. He's like, what the fuck? He's shocked, and which is like, he's like, what have you done? He's like scorched earth, and then you just see the fighting difference as then it's Butcher versus Homelander as. Let me see here. Where am I going on? You see like Butcher's bloody mouth and stuff like that, and seeing him kind of fight because Homelander's like, what the fuck? And Butcher can take hits. It's funny because he has gotten his ass kicked in other kind of things, and then being able to like take that ass whooping, like Homelander doesn't know. Usually, I think he punches his way through somebody, and that's the end of it. He doesn't need to go any further. Here, that doesn't work out, and it's like, oh shit! And then they start using their laser eyes against each other. Homelander's up above, flying a little bit, but they're equaled out. Though it does look like Butcher's almost kind of giving out at the end before Soldier Boy rips him down with the cape, which shows why you better watch out with using capes. And they pin him, like they double team him, kind of fighting, which was really well done and executed, even though there are a little bit more jumps than I preferred. Huey pops up and kind of helps with a triple team going on, and like Homelander's like, what the fuck's going on here? Trying to like laser his ass as Huey's teleporting, but then they pin him down and pretty much have him dead to rights. He should have died there, but like he's Soldier Boy's trying to blow up. Butcher told Huey to leave, and he's like, no, we're gonna finish this. As he is down on the ground, he's trying to use his laser eyes. He's screaming, and then he blasts off. We then see that Starlight and MM are helping people outside. Huey, Butcher, and SB leave. They look at each other. Duh. We see Kimiko with the monster bit. We see Homelander looking in the mirror. We see he's hurt. And just see that challenge that has come to him. He doesn't know what to do with it. Because, yeah, him being in charge of Vought and having to do all these different kind of things and understand these business terms, that's one kind of thing that he had been defeated at. But he was utilizing his shitty, stupid, overwhelming strength to pretty much be like, I'll kill you if you fuck with me. Here, these people had strength and fucked with him, and he couldn't do anything. Like, he had to run away. He's not that god. He's not that pure, clean marble. It was just like, okay, that's the shit that I want to see, and that's the shit that should be the main focus. So then we see Starlight at night. We see MM helping her with a video, and she utilizes her followers. MM's pretty much saying this is a bad idea, but she's like talking about how they're in Vermont, there's dead people. Tells it wasn't a supervillain. Says that Vought will tell him it's a supervillain that's been not that Homelander says that the supervillain's handled and everything, but it wasn't. It's Soldier Boy. Sound insane, but he doesn't want to protect Americans. Most supes don't care. It's just image. Homelander's the worst on something to Maeve. No idea what to do. She's doing what she should have done sooner. She's not Starlight, she's Annie, and she fucking quits. And that's cool. I'm like, alright. I mean, that puts her in a vulnerable, compromised position. However, she's sticking with her morals and ideals, and she's going to fight in her own way. So even though tactically it's not the smartest move, it at least puts Homelander on the defensive and gets her into an offensive kind of mode. And even though it gets her away from like Vought and their resources, she will be able to do it her way. So I really identify with her on that. I'm like, yes, it might not be the smartest kind of move, but if she keeps trying to play the smartest kind of move, it's always going to be according to Vaught's game. And the thing is, if she's able to turn that game and like destroy it or dismantle it, that's kind of what she wants and needs to do. Now, granted, we'll have to see how she's able to do that if they even fucking focus on that, because that is the more interesting story of seeing how that could kind of work out. So we'll have to see how this goes. It has gotten scattered. Hopefully, we get less deep shit, but I think they're just going to keep throwing in the fucking jokes. 8 Trains kind of thing should be wrapped up if he's dead, but I don't foresee that actually happening. Granted, it would have been interesting if Huey had been like, hey, it's temporary V, and he's able to utilize that to heal his brother. That would have been an interesting kind of moment where Huey's like, yo, what happened to you? Because he doesn't even delve into A-Train's being able to say he's sorry. He's like, what the hell happened to you? And then if they because Huey's arm was broken, and then it was healed after he used the temporary V. Granted, it's untested, but the thing is, it'd be interesting to kind of see that, because we also did see Huey's like, what the fuck's going on in my ear, with all the weird shit as they keep, they could start melting or whatnot. But we'll kind of have to see how this goes on. The focus should be more on certain things with Homelander and that whole kind of thing, and spiraling out the certain kind of sub-stories to kind of work within that frame, and not doing redundant shit that we've already kind of dealt with before, and just keep hammering on, or certain kind of jokes and parodies that are kind of really not really dated, but you know how fast certain things move, and it's kind of already dated. So we'll see what kind of works out. The most thing that I'm interested in seeing is how Homelander deals with this loss, and Starlight pretty much putting him on the defensive, and how Starlight kind of handles this situation. Not that I'm not interested in Huey and all the others, but we'll kind of have to see how that kind of works out and goes. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.